Welcome to Charts Today. My name's David Linton, and today's edition for Tuesday the 18th of July comes to you from London. And we start by looking at the dollar index, and we see here really big moves down again this morning. Big move down again in the dollar, so we are just seeing it lurching down. We're seeing these daily candles making new multi-month lows now, so back to really where we were a year ago, and now just starting to move below the cloud. So the long-term trend on the dollar is starting to look a little bit more bearish, and we see here how we have had that before, where we've teetered along. In 2013 we spent quite a bit of time below the cloud and then ran again, and we have had this big sideways movement. So we are bearish below the cloud. This may be short-lived, but at the moment it does put us in a bearish frame of mind, and so that just is weaker dollar and really starting to show through here. Of course, we've said before, once we get below this sort of 92.50 on the dollar index, that really does start to look very bearish, because the point and figure charts are still bullish on the long term and medium term, but the short term is still very clearly bearish. The euro, we're seeing very strong moves up, making new highs. We're getting above this 115 level, which we've always said is this is the sort of key number, and we are now above that. We've got quite a lot of short-term upside targets. We've got 118.05, 118.88, 116.06, and we've passed this 114.91. So passing targets is bullish. So we are seeing bullish on the euro. This downside target negated, which is also a good sign, but we still do have long-term bearishness still hanging over us. But at the moment, the euro is looking very strong in the short term. Japanese yen, we're seeing the dollar falling away against the yen, so stronger yen coming back into the fold. The dollar had just crossed that trend into the longer term, meaning really much weaker yen. Looking at sterling, we're seeing here sterling back above the 130 level and now breaking that, so we could see a resurgence in sterling. We're seeing 136.87 is now an upside target of 4.5%, which is activated, so sterling looking much stronger. And against the euro, fairly flat, has been increasing the last few days, but the euro is still the stronger currency longer term. And the Swiss franc, much the same picture as you would expect. Against the Australian dollar, the sterling is falling quite strongly. In fact, this is really about Australian dollar strength, looking very, very much stronger. And if we take a look at the Australian dollar chart, we see here against the US dollar, Australian dollar is really rocketing, long-term transitional trend, and looking very strong with 5% upside. So that's what's filtering through into that sterling Aussie chart. Australian dollar strength really showing through there. Looking at the S&P 500 index, we see here that we're just holding on to that bullishness. A fairly quiet day yesterday, but we are nudging new highs there. Nasdaq recovery continued, so we are just seeing that chart looking better all the time, holding the gains that we've seen recently. And the Dow Jones also moving to new highs last week, which has just played through. Markets were pretty quiet yesterday, but it is still a bullish looking picture. Looking at the future, you see the S&P future down very slightly, and the Nasdaq E-mini by the same amount, 0.12%. So no real heads up as to which way the market will open today. FTSE 100 index dropping quite dramatically this morning, so we are just seeing that sell-off there. So looking a bit weak there. The FTSE 250 conversely is up quite strongly, so we're seeing up 0.5% on the FTSE 250, down 0.25% on the FTSE 100. The DAX is looking more bullish, and the Nikkei 225 also looking more bullish on the medium and long term charts, but that stronger yen has taken us lower short term. The Hang Seng looking bullish on all three charts, and Shanghai recovering quite sharply on that short term chart. A lot of volatility creeping in there. Indian market looking strong on all three charts, and the Australian market weaker on that short-term chart and the medium-term below. Stronger dollar having an impact there. Brent crude, we're seeing here, is just starting to sell off again. It is still in an uptrend just, but we are just seeing this downward leg occurring, and the long-term trend is soon coming under pressure. as is WTI. We're seeing much the same picture there. So watch for a move below really $45 on WTI would put us back into bearish territory and recommencing the downward leg. US nat gas just back above $3, and so bullish in the short term. We do have a target of 306. We do have a longer term target of 346, but we've got to go higher than 307 to activate that. Taking a look at copper. Copper has been very strong lately, just holding on to those gains. And if we look at go straight to looking at gold, gold has actually been in a new uptrend for the last few days, looking stronger. It looks like it's recovering off the bottom. There is an absence of short-term uptrend targets, but we are still seeing on the point and figure chart we've got long-term trends. So looks like gold just finding support at those low 1200 levels. It's really about breaking these 1300 levels convincingly, and of course we need to get above the 1350 level for gold to really run. Looking at silver, much the same picture as you'd expect. A little bit less bullish on the longer term charts than gold. Taking a look at US Treasury yields, just sitting in these low 230s at the moment. Apple had another strong session yesterday, looking better all the time, bullish on all three time frames. Google also looking bullish on all three time frames. Amazon also looking good. Facebook just pausing for breath after a big run on Friday. And Microsoft still just edging higher. That's it for today. Until tomorrow, happy charting. See you then.